We wrap up our MLK Day special with longtime ASU Humanities professor Dr. Neal Lester, who's been honored with the 2022 ASU Martin Luther King Jr. Faculty Servant Leadership Award. We talked to Dr. Lester about the award and his signature program, Project Humanities, which is now in its 10th year. Dr. Lester, congratulations on the ASU Faculty MLK Award and 10 years here of Project Humanities. A lot of things to talk about. Let's get back to basics here. Project Humanities, what are we talking about here?
Oh, thank you, Ted. Well, what we're talking about is 10 years of successfully and impactfully bringing individuals and communities together to talk, listen, and connect in various formats. And 10 years has really given us a lot to think about, a lot to look back on, reflect on, but also some challenges to think about as we go into the next 10 years.
Was it originally a way to get folks, students in particular, just more interested in the humanities?
Yes, that is an ongoing concern for those, particularly on the administrative end, the deans, the provosts, the presidents, those administrative central folks who are looking for numbers of majors, people in seats, people to teach. And that was certainly a concern that I had, but my concern became broader to sort of see how we could bring students who were both majors and non-humanities majors into humanities thinking so that we could sort of realize that there's something that we share despite what our specialties are. So the thinking was initially, how do we recruit more humanities majors? But I wanted to expand that so that we're looking at how do we bring all students at ASU and beyond into more thinking that is humanist specific and humanist centric, asking the why, the how, even though we're looking at details and data, but why, how, what is the critical questions that should be asked.
And I've heard you describe this as talking, listening, and connecting. Those are the big three.
Yes. TLC.
Yes. Are some of the issues that you've talked about here, some of the issues that you've focused on here over the last 10 years?
Oh my gosh, they have been far-ranging and nuanced, and for some people edgy. We don't do it for the sake of being edgy. We do it because these are topics that, first of all, we as my Project Humanities team want to know about these topics. So such topics as toxic positivity. In the spring, we've got a conversation of poverty porn. We also have dispelled myths about critical race theory. We've talked about, and we'll be talking about, missing and murdered Indigenous women. But what's also exciting is that we're going into areas that allow us to expand our support reach, but also just the range of topics. So we're doing one this semester that really excites me on aging and two spirits, LGBTQ. When we talk about intersectional identities, we often forget about aging.
Yeah, interesting. All right, but and everything you've talked about here, and Indigenous mascots, I think we once actually mentioned this at one time.
Yes, well, that's ongoing when we talk about cultural appropriation and changing those names of those NFL teams and high school teams that still carry these very caricature-like images, allegedly, of American Indians, Native Americans, and we try to challenge why those things are problematic and how they do not uphold or respect traditions of people who are American Indian.
The big question overriding all of this has been in the past, are we losing our humanity? Is that still the big overriding question?
You know what? I think it will always be. And in fact, when I spoke to poet Nikki Giovanni about this a few years ago as she was being hosted here, I raised that question to her, are we losing our humanity? And her response, which has had a profound effect on me, is, well, when did we ever have it? Anytime there has been difference, there's always been a group on top pressing down on a group at the bottom. And this question of we can only be tall if someone else is on their knees, Toni Morrison says, then how tall are we? So that feels like that's a question that if we're going to have any question about justice, any question about equity, any question about diversity, has to start with this notion of humanity. And those things we call Humanity 101, the respect, integrity, kindness, forgiveness, empathy, self-reflection, compassion.
Yeah, and thus Project Humanities. Hey, this MLK Teachers Award, this ASU Faculty MLK Award, what does that mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Well, any time that my name is in the same breath as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I'm excited and humble, but also challenged by that. because that's a huge legacy of values. But I also think it speaks to the fact that we're often being watched, and I don't mean in some sort of stalker way, but being watched in terms of modeling what we try to talk about. So for me, the award speaks to the impact that Project Humanities is having and the ways in which any successes that I have had or that Project Humanities has had has been because of collaborations. And that includes you, Ted, and Arizona Horizon, and Jose, and all the people who have supported what we are doing and helping us tell our story.
And last question, where does that story go from here? What's next for Project Humanities?
Oh my gosh. Well, what's next is some new research ambassadorships for undergraduate students. It's expanding our support base. It's attracting new resources. It's coming up with some programs that we never imagined prior to COVID. It's about accepting possibilities and also embracing what President Crow would call nimbleness, being able to adapt and adopt at a moment's notice.
All right. Well, congratulations on the award. Congratulations on 10 years of Project Humanities. And thank you so much for always being a good guest of the program. Dr. Neal Lester, ASU Project Humanities. Dr. Lester, thank you.
Thank you, and Happy New Year.